Welcome to another Sunday edition of the Pig Trail Show. I've got the crew with me, Mike Irwin, Tara Talmadge, and guys, of course, like always, let's talk a little bit of football. We are 2 full weeks into fall camp, and Arkansas had their very first scrimmage on Friday. So let's do what we do best, and let's talk about it. Mike, you're up first. Take it away.
You know, it's a lot easier to evaluate an offense and defense and a scrimmage when you're not going up against each other. If one looks good, the other tends to look bad. Coach told me years ago that in these inter-squad scrimmages, you just need balance. Well, clearly there were some big offensive plays with 5 touchdown passes and 1 on the ground. But Sam Pittman also praised the defense. Those guys were physical and disruptive. Yes, they did make mistakes, but the head coach liked how they stepped up in critical situations.
We put the ball on the ground at least 2 times that I remember on fumbles, a couple of jarring hits out of there. Buster actually caused and recovered a fumble down close on the goal line. Magnificent, wonderful play. Defensively, you know, coach is still really hard to block, and you know, he's on some special teams as well, so you know, we kind of ran him out of gas a little bit. But the D-line, again, they put pressure on the quarterback, and I was pleased with that group.
You know, Isaiah Nichols made the point that Barry Odom and the other coaches talk to the players like men. He said they've grown us up with their expectations. They've made us stronger physically and mentally. They're doing it in practice, and the next step is to do it in games.
Yes, and in those games, though, they have got to get the ball to Traylon Burks. This guy has had so much talent that just really has gone unutilized the last year. Burks was the return man for Arkansas and did a great job with that, but the guy also led Arkansas with 475 receiving yards on 29 receptions. However, he didn't get a single touchdown, which is just crazy to think about. Burks did get in the end zone during the Texas A&M game, but of course, Arkansas's luck, it was called back.
You know, we got the ball early to him today, and he took off, you know, and not only is he big, but he's extremely fast. And, you know, I think he can run the football as well as catch it, but he's so dynamic with the ball in his hands. It can't be a game where we go, well, we got it to him 2 or 3 times. That can't happen, so we have to have a plan for him. He's been that dynamic.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete, guys. 6'3", over 230 pounds. And the funniest part that I found is they don't even make gloves the size of his hands, 4XL. Yeah. So get the guy the ball.
You usually hear about custom shoes, not necessarily custom gloves for guys, which is pretty impressive. All right, guys, I want to talk about a position that in years past has had a main guy, and this year it's a question mark, and it's really interesting to think about. I'm talking about tight end. Of course, there was Hunter Henry, then after him, Jeremy Sprinkle, and then C.J. O'Grady. But this year, there's really no one that sticks out right now in camp in that group. Sam Pittman has 6 tight ends on his roster. Guys, he's got more quarterbacks on his roster than he does tight ends. Blaine Kern is the lone senior. They have Hudson Henry, who was, of course, highly recruited out of high school, but redshirted last year. They've moved Blaine Toll back to tight end, and they're still trying to figure out exactly who is 1, 2, and 3.
We're just trying to find, to be honest with you, we're trying to find 2 really good tight ends, and if we could get 3 and 4, that'd be great, but right now, that one right there, I can tell you I don't have a clue who the starting tight end is yet. I'll know a little bit more after I watch this film this afternoon, but the next scrimmage will be really, really big for the tight end position.
So let's start there and kind of work backwards on all of our topics. It makes you scratch your head a little bit because they've recruited so well at that tight end position, and not that they haven't, but they don't really have a standout guy right now.
It was so surprising to me when you brought up this topic, and I just couldn't think about it. I was like, wow, who is their #1 guy? You know, Blaine Toll obviously is someone that they're seriously considering moving him back to tight end after all the defense to offense back and forth. But you mentioned Blake Kern as well, and that's someone that definitely has experience, didn't get as much experience being the past couple of years with the talent that they have had, but you could see him being that main guy for them.
Mike, all of these guys, Hudson Henry, they have a couple other guys, all freshmen or redshirt freshmen.
Well, Henry is a good pass catcher. I think the concern with him is blocking ability, and I think that's one reason Toll got moved back. They have more size and depth over on defense than they have at that tight end position, and they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball some, so they want to make sure they got somebody over there that can block when they're not throwing the ball to the tight ends.
Yeah, Tara, I'm really interested. You talk about Traylon Burks, and last year a lot of the stuff that we talked about was at first it has Trey Knox, and he kind of blossomed early, and then fell off a little bit to no fault of his own, and then Traylon Burks came on the scene. Can we get these two guys to sync up and really be a 1-2 threat for Arkansas?
I think that's what everyone was hoping it would be last year as well. We saw both of them come on campus, and we were like, man, these guys are going to be great. It's going to be a great duo for the Razorbacks, and then it just never really developed. I think they can absolutely do that this year because they have a little more talent at QB to get these guys the ball.
But they want to build depth, Mike, there.
Well, don't forget Mike Woods, because honestly, if you look at the video that's coming out released by the school, he's the one that's making all these eye-popping catches. I mean, these great moves where he's leaving these cornerbacks, biting dust, just like, whoa, where'd he go? So.
Real quick, Mike, your defensive stories. How nice is it to see this defensive secondary actually batting down passes and getting turnovers?
Yeah, it is. But again, what I'm worried about, and I'm always this way, is if I don't see it and I'm just looking at video, I'm not really sure. People come up and ask me, what's going on over there? And I go, I don't really know.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, continuing practice. Of course, we'll talk about it throughout the weeks as we get closer to the season. Guys, thanks for the conversation. Enjoyed it.